Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Lavinia Masters here. I am excited to share with you guys this morning. I made a commitment to do a stalking awareness talk. This is Stalking Awareness Month. Stalking Awareness Month, the origin of that was back in 2004. National Stalking Awareness Month in January was launched in 2004 by the National Center for Crimes Victims of Crime. The aim is to increase the public's interpretation of the crime of stalking. It is recognized, the federal government recognized in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the U.S. territories enacted laws making stalking a criminal act. Although the elements defining the act of stalking different across the states, it is illegal to stalk someone. I'm coming to you this morning. Like I said, it is January. January is Stalking Awareness Month, and so I wanted to raise awareness. I wanted to share, not only raise awareness, but I wanted to share my story of stalking. I was stalked at 17, and how scary that was for me to learn that I was being stalked because I didn't know that I was being stalked. Also, the color for stalking awareness is yellow. I had a nice yellow and black blouse, so poofy, but I didn't want to be too dressed up in my bedroom. First off, housekeeping rules. I may see some comments. I may not respond immediately to you because I'm trying to stay focused. I have to do this on a time limit here this morning, as well as is normally a paid event that I do. I present at colleges, universities, organizations that want to know more about stalking. I'm still open and available to that. My regular website, for some reason, I'm having technical issues, but you can reach out to me on hopesavesministries.org, or you can also just send me an email. I'll put my email in here as well, laviniamasters@gmail.com. Real simple to reach out to me. Anytime you want to support the cause, the work that I do for victims, advocating, any work that I do, a lot of it I self-support myself in the work that I do. I put my Cash app as well as my Zelle. I am open to donations and the support that I continue to do for advocating. I'm doing this, like I said, because it is Stalking Awareness Month. Many of us don't understand how serious stalking can be, the effects that it has on an individual once someone has been stalked. It is just as incriminating, just as traumatic as being sexually assaulted, domestic violence, any kind of traumatic crime. That's what stalking the long-term effects can have on us. What I have actually is a presentation, but unfortunately I don't see where I can do any kind of like showing you my presentation online with Facebook. So I'm not the technical person, but I do have a presentation. I'm going to go briefly through the presentation, some of the notes. Like I said, it's very extensive. Part of the reasons why many advocates charge for the work they do, if I may interject, really is because, for one, we give of ourselves, we give of our traumas, our time, our efforts. We're reliving a lot of times the things that have happened to us. We pour from us so that we can help the world, educate the world, empower the world, and hopefully to prevent these sort of things to continue to happen, to change things, just as the TheLaviniaMastersAct, change the laws and legislation, change how people view things, their understanding, their lack of knowledge, of not knowing certain things. And this is why we charge as advocates in the work we do. It's not just to become famous. It's not just to say, hey, give me your money. It takes time to reproduce, our efforts to travel, speak, all of that good stuff. And so that's one reason I'm not saying that you have to pay or give me anything, but I do have the options because it is very detailed work that we do. January in Texas, 28th is also Sexual Assault Survivor Day, which is very near and dear to me as well because I'm also a survivor of sexual violence. And then January 23rd is my birthday. So if you just want to support my birthday, you are more than welcome to do that. But anyway, I wanted to just start out that way, give you a little background of me, who I am. I am Lavinia Masters, and I am an advocate for victims of sexual violence, relationship violence, just an advocate for any basically traumatic experience that a victim has to endure. That is me, your host today, Lavinia Masters, and I'm coming to you to talk about stalking because I was stalked at the age of 17 years old. I'm going to try to keep it simple and short. Like I said, if you have questions or comments, or if you're going to catch this on a replay, that's amazing. I will try to upload this to YouTube so it can be available there to YouTube. And if you want a copy of the presentation, I'm trying to figure out how I can do that as well to get you a copy of the presentation. But I want us to get into this, and because it is a lot of information, a lot of details. I can't see the screen. I don't know if that's a good thing because I'm going to try to stay on my presentation here. So if you would bear with me, if you notice I'm not on screen, I'm gonna leave the comment section up. Just say, hey, we can't see you. But Stalked at 17, because this is Stalking Awareness Month. I am yours truly, Lavinia Masters, namesake of the Lavinia Masters Act, a professional international speaker, consultant, advocate, life trauma coach, author, Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Also the founder of Hope Saves Ministry, Lavinia, my consultant that I do, Boss Up Consultant. I am honored to say that I am she like to say a screenwriting consultant for a movie director, and I'm excited to recently take on that role as far as consulting and giving ideas and tips and awareness when you're dealing with celebrities and actors and things of that nature. So that's something I just wanted to throw in there because it's something I've gotten into. But what is stalking? Let's ask that question. What is stalking? The dictionary defines stalking as to harass, persecute someone with unwanted and obsessive attention. However, in the advocacy world and according to the Department of Justice, it is a pattern of repeated and unwanted attention, harassment, contact, or any other course of conduct directed at a specific person that would cause a reasonable person to feel fear. It can also be defined as a pattern of behavior directed at a specific person that would cause a reasonable person to fear for the person's safety or the safety of others or suffer substantial emotional distress. A few facts about stalking. Did you know that in 18.3 million of U.S. women and 6.5 million U.S. men are victims of stalking during their lifetimes? The majority of individuals that first experienced stalking between the ages of 18 and 24. Mine was 17. About 4 in 5 stalking victims are stalked by someone they know. 61% of female victims and 43.5% of male victims are stalked by a concurrent or a romantic partner. Who has experienced stalking the most? 24.5% of Native American, Alaskan Native women, 22.4% of multiracial women, 15.9% of non-Hispanic white women, 14.2% of Hispanic women, and 13.9% of non-Hispanic black women have experienced stalking. These numbers are alarming to think that someone is following you around or invading on your privacy, your space, without you knowing it, and can possibly bring some kind of harm to you. That thought alone can be fearful. Stalking. Am I being stalked? Have you ever asked yourself the question, or had to ask yourself, are you being stalked because someone makes you feel uncomfortable? If it's not by physical, someone you know or you don't know, or you think you know someone is watching you, you're seeing you. We see all these videos. I know I'm guilty of watching these TikTok videos because it's, to me, some of them, they may be staged, but they are very educational because they are showing you how people are taking advantage of stalking people. And when they're stalking you, it can lead to something greater. It can lead to a sexual assault. It can lead to human trafficking, sex trafficking, because they could be stalking you to actually kidnap you. They can be stalking you to actually harm you in some other way. So it's important that we understand what stalking is. Stalking laws and definitions differ from state to state. Stalking behavior can take many forms, including making threats against someone or that person's family or friends, non-consensual communication such as repeated phone calls, emails, text messages, and unwanted gifts. Repeated physical or visual closeness, like waiting for someone to arrive at certain locations, following someone, or watching someone from a distance. Any behavior used to contact, harass, track, or threaten someone. That is stalking. So if you ever had these feelings or any of these characteristics or things of this nature are happening to you or have happened to you, most likely you are being stalked. Cyber stalking. These are, the world is technology now. We're becoming more dependent on technology. It means our communication, our recreation, our computer crime has been increasing at an alarming rate. One type of computer is a crime that has the potential of causing immense distress and damage is termed cyber stalking. Oh my God, have I been cyber stalked? I have been cyber stalked so much. I don't know if I have been more alarmed with cyber stalking versus me being personally stalked, but it is just as alarming to know that you have been cyber stalked because people will literally harass you. Cyber stalking is defined as using the internet or other electronic means as a way to harass, intimidate, threaten, monitor, or make unwanted advances towards another. It can involve in direct communications through emails, chat rooms, bulletin boards, or social sites such as Facebook, which is what we're on now. The gathering of information regarding the target or covert observation. And we have to be careful on social media. I know I'm not going to try to go too far ahead of prevention, but cyber stalking, one reason I like Facebook, and I know people say, oh, that's for old people. Well, I am a little bit seasoned, but I like Facebook because it gives me the option to block someone and restrict someone and to ignore them, and I love that. TikTok, I found myself doing things on TikTok. So what I had to do on TikTok, I completely shut down where people can communicate with me because that's like an open portal for people on TikTok. I also I use Instagram as well because with Instagram it connects your messaging with Facebook is kind of the same. I can easily block you or restrict you from communicating with me. Some people are aggressive. They would change their profile. I'll block their profile. So, until I feel like I'm really threatened, I usually don't go any further with cyber stalking. But if I feel there's a great threat, I am one that will take action and I will move forward and I'll report things. Some things I have had to report because some people have not, will not stop harassing me, and I reported them to Facebook or Instagram, and I realized that it has ceased. So we have to be mindful of cyber stalking. There are motivations they feel there are certain motivations for online harassment. Some of them they are seeking a romantic attachment. No, and I'm aware of that. No matter how many times I tell some people I am married, I put my husband all over my Facebook. I'm Ricky Lee Life. Many of you that know me, but yet and still you get those people who would totally ignore that. Rejected partner trying to reconcile. I have been, oh my God, I just realized I've been a victim of that type of stalking as well, of a rejected partner that tried to reconcile with me. A rejected partner seeking revenge. Delusional or imagined attachment to the victim, being romantic or another connection. Those are one of the people I've had to report. This individual was very much delusional. I did not know this man from the man in the moon, and he just connected and followed, and he was sweetheart. And why you didn't call me back? I'm like, dude, I never called you. I don't even know your number. Why you didn't tell me what you ate for breakfast this morning? I asked you a question last night before bed. I mean, it was out of line. So I had to report him, take some extra measures, and that stopped. Revenge for actual or perceived injustices. Hate or intolerance towards a specific group. Random attacks, the victim being the wrong place at the wrong time. These are things that can happen in cyber stalking. There are other types of harassing online behaviors, such as unsolicited emails, which involve contacting someone or person against their wishes, spamming, sending the bulk messages, flaming, which is basically online verbal abuse, infecting the victim's computer with malicious programs such as Trojans, keyloggers, spyware, or viruses. These programs can allow the stalker to remotely monitor your computer, your victim's computer, used down to every keystroke, which can include the victim's address, your planned activities, your credit card details, or people you communicate with. They can also download private data stored on the victim's computer or control the functions of the computer, like turn on your webcams when you have your cameras off. This private information can be used to impersonate you as well online. Viruses or worms can also be used to cause damage to your computer. So we have to be mindful of stalking. Sometimes we take things lightly, or we'll say, oh, it's no big deal, or oh, that's just Larry, or that's Mary Kate. You know, she won't go that far. You have to be very careful when you're engaged with people of this mentality that they're going to stalk you, whether to seek revenge, to harass you, or whatever it is. But even online, cyber stalking can lead to greater and more harmful things. They can do identity fraud, which can involve a wide range of activities, including posting communications, if they are from you, the victim, that may include personal ads or items for sale, or a sexually explicit or provocative nature, but bidding in inline auctions in your name, or simply communicating with others if they were you, the victim. So you have to be careful with cyber stalking. I remember years ago there was a movie out called Net with Sandra Bullock, and that movie freaked me out because the internet was not as prevalent as it is now. And now I can see how that can happen, where people can say, hey, I'm Lavinia Masters, I did this, you know, I'm here to do this for you, or post some new pictures of you. I've had people post me on, I think it was called Rent a Friend. I think it's back again. I have to go back again because I saw an email from a Rent a Friend request. I've had people do things like file taxes in my name, and you wonder how they get these things. You have to be aware of your surroundings, or things that seem suspect when you're dealing with things, even on the computer. Be aware and be mindful, because it can happen. I've fallen victim to things, and I had no idea that it was possibly someone stalking me initially, and it just wasn't a fluke that they did these things. My stuff was compromised so that I had to go downtown Dallas to the Department of Treasury and take in my passport, my driver's license, my social security card, to prove that I was who I was because of what someone tried to do to me. And so, I can't talk too much because my understanding is still under investigation, and they got good leads on who they think they are. And of course, I'm going to press charges. I'm like, whatever you need to do to them, and they were already going to press charges as well. But anyway, we have to be mindful of what we put out there in social media, what we put out there with people, and just pay attention to a lot of things. They can spread rumors or revealing extremely personal information about you in cyber stalking. Abusive messages that attack your reputation, or personally, or in the workplace. Threats to harm you or someone you know physically, or your reputation by other means. So we have to be careful when it comes to cyber stalking as well. Let me see. So as the world becomes more dependent, we did out there. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, because I'm trying to make it. I made it small so I can see. Prevention of cyber stalking. Like I said, this is a lot to intake. I'm going through it. I just kind of want to give you a brief overview in honor of Stalking Awareness Month. Like I said, you can always book me for your organization to come do a presentation, a workshop, whatever we need to do to talk about stalking more. And it doesn't just have to be during Stalking Awareness Month. It can be during any time of the year, because stalking doesn't, trust me, it's like sexual assault, it's like relationship violence, it's like human trafficking. It has no respect of time of the year, month, or day. But prevention. Many people leave themselves vulnerable to online harassment. Here are some tips. Always have the most up-to-date virus and firewall protection from a reputable source. Never share your personal information, online profiles, or public spaces. Be suspicious of anyone who's pushing you to reveal details of your private life. Password protect all accounts, including cell phone, mobile phone, landlines, emails, banking, credit cards. Use nonsense passwords for your accounts that include a combination of numbers, symbols, and letters. Change your passwords regularly. Do not use the same password for different accounts. Never give your passwords to anyone, and make reminder questions difficult for anyone to guess when you're doing your passwords. And I know it sounds simple, but I'm telling you, it can save you a lot of grief, a lot of trauma, a lot of frustration if you just follow some of the recommendations. Remember that any information you provide on the internet, even to trusted or popular sites, is potentially susceptible to hackers. You never know who's out there watching you. Never open attachments from people you do not know or trust. If I promise you, with me and Ricky Lee and my grandson, do not open those attachments. It's like a constant reminder. I know sometimes we may feel safe. We get duped sometimes because they can make things look like it's from your bank. I mean, and the hackers and the cyber stalkers, they are getting more intentional about their work and deceiving people and how they take advantage of people. And if I promise you, there are times I'm almost deceived, but I will have to call the bank or make a phone call myself before I open certain things, because I have been a victim of my stuff being compromised. So if you're ending an abusive relationship, change all of your passwords to something the stalker could not know or guess. The worst thing I've heard from people being stalked, and even from stalkers themselves, oh, she'll never change. He'll never change. I know the password for that. Some people know everything about you, so you make it no nonsense if you have to. Do something totally off the block so they won't know your information. Choose screen names that are gender and age neutral. Do not flirt online, and be careful of what you post. Once it's out there, it's difficult to take it back. Ask your friends to never give out your details to anyone, and be discerning regarding who you accept as friends on social media pages. You will notice me this morning, as a matter of fact. I don't know what happened last night. I don't know if it's something I posted, but I had like 5 friend requests this morning. And the thing that got me was 2 of the friend requests had the same first name. One was a male, one was a female, one was Caucasian, one was black. Same first name, different last names, but the first name like they were made up. Delete, delete. No, thank you. I don't need that many friends. So I know I have people that follow me as in my advocate word. I have advocate Lavinia Masters. If you want to follow me as an advocate, you can go to that Facebook page. But I try to keep this page, Lavinia Masters, more personable. People I know or get to know, I feel comfortable with. And then if you make me feel uncomfortable, you may say, hey, I don't see her anymore, because I may have removed you from that space for my safety and yours, your integrity, because there was something that made me feel a certain way. So just be mindful of people you trust and you bring on in your online presence as well as your physical presence. Make sure your internet service provider, ISP, has an acceptable policy prohibiting cyber stalking. Check the status of your credit card account regularly, and keep a check on the purchases you make. If there are any irregularities, notify your bank. Let me tell you what happened to me a few years ago with Wells Fargo. There was someone that was doing my account, and they were taking out small amounts. I didn't recognize it. I saw what they did. They imitated another account that I had, and so I thought they were like little fees or something. So they were taking like $1 something here. They were taking like $3. Thank you, Turning Point. They were taking like $3 here. And before I knew it, they hit me for a big amount. And I'm like, stop, wait a minute. What's the purpose of this? So I called my bank, and the bank started flagging it as an authorized, what not isn't authorized, but like a reoccurring. They call it a reoccurring transaction. So, and when I saw, I'm like, no, this shouldn't be reoccurring like this. So I called, and they told me about it, and I'm like, wait a minute. I called the organization, and they were like, no, Mrs. Masters, we only did this for that. So once we realized what happened, the bank had to refund they did this for 2 years with the little amounts before it went for the big amounts. When they did this, I ended up getting $575 back. Now, I don't have no $575. I don't know how they got away with $575, but what I just did, I just kept going, making the adjustments. $2 here, $3 here, and I kept procrastinating and putting it off and everything, and I'm so glad I got my money back, because when I got it back, I needed it. But anyway, it was just amazing how they had got away with that amount of money in 2 years by using small amounts. So we have to be mindful and careful of who's watching us, because cyber stalking is real. If someone knows your phone number, it is technically possible to tap into your GPS locator, thus knowing where you are at any time. If you are concerned about this, turn off your GPS application. If you really need this service, get another device that cannot be traced. I have 2 phones. I actually have 3, but I have 2 phones. And some people say, oh, you must be important. No, I value my life and I value my safety. I've been through a lot. So that's one reason I keep 2 phones. The main reason I keep 2 phones, if something happens to me, I try not to let people see the second phone when I'm out in public, because if they snatch me or take the phone, my other phone is on my person somewhere on silent. I can dial 911 through on my GPS location. If my husband said, where is my wife? She hasn't been here for a while. But I keep my GPS location only on when I'm trying to get somewhere, and I may turn it off, or if I'm away from my husband more than a long period of time, or anytime I'm away from him and I'm saying, Ricky Lee, I'm going here, and if I don't make it, if something happens, this is where you can trace me on this location. But other than that, I don't walk around with my location on every day, all day long, because usually I'm working out of the home or doing something. But other than that, that's something that I know that can be hazardous to your health. If you're using dating websites, set up a dedicated email for that purpose. Do not give out any personal information at all. If you do arrange to meet someone, do it in a safe public environment and let someone else know what you are doing in advance. I'm telling you, I believe so much can be prevented. I know we may feel that, oh, I don't want people to know that I'm dating someone off the internet. They're going to think less than me, or you can't worry about that. You have to worry about your safety. You have to worry that you make it there and you make it back properly. You've seen the cases on TV where even people were making purchases, thought they were buying something from someone online. They get there, they were actually murdered. They were robbed. So you have to be mindful of your safety at all times. Unfortunately, this is the world that we are living in, and there's nothing we can too much change about that, but we can change how we approach situations, how we deal with things in our own safety. So be mindful of that. Tell someone where you're going. Be careful not to be followed home. You know, you never know people. So when you leave, make sure if I'm going to meet you somewhere, I'm in a lit place. If I don't know you and you're not going to follow me home, I don't care how good the talk was. It's more that needs to be done for me. So be careful of that. If you begin to talk to someone and you have the online telephone, block your user ID, or preferably use a prepaid, non-traceable number on a simple phone. I know you're probably going, Lavinia, that's a lot. That's too much. You have to trust someone. You know what? And I get that. I trust people, but trust is something that you have to build with me. You have to earn it. And it's not that I don't trust people, and I feel I have a pretty good intuition, a discernment of spirit with folks, but still I have to be careful. I have to be careful because some people are very deceptive. Some people will go to extensive measures to harm you. People will skin and grin with you and know they have the intention of trying to destroy you, harm you, bring you down, and they can have absolutely no reason at all. You are their target. And that's just the reality of it. That is the facts of life. And so we have to be mindful of that. And it's not to be paranoid. It's to be preventive. It's to raise awareness. It's to teach our children, our loved ones, our friends, to teach society, the world, what we're going to do to protect ourselves from certain dangers or possible dangers that are lurking out there in cyber world. And if you have a website or blog, use a counter that record all incoming traffic and allow you to view who is accessing your website. Okay, now we're going to go to workplace stalking. Stalking in the workplace can have severe consequences for the victim and their colleagues. Although fortunately rare, this can even result in serious or fatal injury for anyone present at the time. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Obsession with Beyonce and Idris Elba, however you say his name. And the young lady stalked him, Idris, I can't remember his name in the movie Obsession. And even though it may seem a little cheesy in the acting or whatever, the message they were trying to send was very strong. This young lady was delusional. She even went to a party saying that she was his wife to get him to come out. And I got mad at the movie because I was like, dude, tell your wife what this woman is doing to you, how she trying to hem you up. Notify the police before, or notify someone before things get out of hand. You should have known, especially when people are aggressive or being aggressive with you, that that it could be some serious consequences or some issues that may evolve out of this. Case in point, and I worked for Countrywide years ago, and there was this guy, a young man, and he was in management. I don't remember his name, but you could tell that he thought he was the company Romeo. And I don't remember his name, and if he sees me, hey, how you doing? But when I came to the company, he had a bad habit of touching and feeling on women and violating their space. And so he would come over and he would always get behind me and rub me on my shoulders and stuff like that. And at first I was like, okay, because I saw him do it with other women. And I think I was kind of nervous, at first, because I'm like, I'm new in the company. I don't want to cause any friction and this and this. And so, but what happened was, obviously, I made him feel comfortable with coming over, and he just had to touch me. Every time he came by, he had to touch me. So he shot me this email. And when he shot me the email, I was disgusted. I was frustrated. Now I'm like, oh my God, what is he trying to do? I'm a married woman. He's going to sabotage my marriage. I was very upset. I contacted my husband first. My husband was like, you better tell the people up there what he's doing. So I shot the email to Human Resources. And needless to say, he lost his job because there were other people had reported things about him, but I guess no one followed through and no one had any evidence. And I had hard evidence of what he did, and that was the email. So he was a little bit upset. He was a lot upset of what happened to him, but that quickly resolved or whatever. So be mindful that it can happen in the workplace. Stay focused, because research shows that stalking victimization in the workplace has primarily focused on mental health professionals. It is clear that stalking affects victims in all type of workplaces. The importance of supportive and appropriate measures to assist victims and ensure the overall safety of any workplace cannot be emphasized. Workplace stalking can arise from different contexts, including stalking, intruding into the workplace from victimization outside of work, clients stalking staff, clients stalking other clients, and staff stalking co-workers. It causes occupational damage. Stalking in the workplace can have a detrimental impact on work performance, not only for that victim, but for also those that they work with. To reduce the effect that stalking may have in productivity, it is important to understand the reasons why job performance may deteriorate, and then look at ways that your organization can help employees to overcome these problems. The workplace can be impacted in a number of ways. Time off work, sick leave, the victim and third parties with psychological symptoms, frightened to leave the house, attending legal matters, avoiding work if the stalker is a coworker. I mean, these are things that can affect its occupational damage because of stalking in the workplace. Deteriorating work performance and relations, unable to concentrate on work when attendance. And that's how I was. When I would see this guy come, like, oh God, here he comes. Difficulty catching up on missed days. Time lost due to stalking, intruding on the workplace, like phone calls, approaches, etc. Tension in the workplace arising from allegations made against the victim that they have somehow encouraged the stalker, and I'm overreacting. And that's how I felt, that it was going to be tension if I brought this up, if I said something about him coming over. And I'm like, everybody saw him, but I'm like, why nobody's doing anything? I didn't want to be the one to come in, raining on everybody parade or Miss Goody Two Shoes, because I didn't want everybody touching on me. But I didn't deserve that. I felt very uncomfortable. I'd already been a victim of sexual violence as a child, and I'm like, and I don't want to go through this. And those are your options. If you want to feel safe in the workplace, you have to speak up as well, even in the workplace. The stalking risk profile they use a slightly more complex typology that provides extra information to assist professionals with understanding and managing stalking behavior. They have a typology, and it was developed by Paul Mullen, Michelle Path, Rosemary Purcell, and it divides stalkers into 5 types, which I'm going to describe for you now. It's very extensive. I'm going to try to minimize it. It's good stuff. Like I said, if you need me to present this, reach out. I'll come and we'll figure something out. We can do it in your workplace or your organization or whatever, but I'm going to try to just go through it for time's sake. They have one as the rejected stalker. The rejected stalking arises in the context of the breakdown of a close relationships. Victims are usually former sexual intimates. However, family members, close friends, or others with a very close relationship to the stalker can also become targeted of rejected stalking. The initial motivation of a rejected stalker is either attempting to reconcile the relationship or to exacting revenge for a perceived rejection. In many cases, rejected stalkers present as ambivalent about the victim and sometimes appear to want the relationship back, while at other times they are clearly angry and the behavior is maintained because becomes a substitute for the past relationship, as it allows the stalker to continue to feel close to the victim. In other cases, the behavior is maintained because it allows the stalker to salvage their damaged self-esteem and feel better about themselves. And that's the rejected stalker. And then you have the resentful stalker. The resentful stalker arises when the stalker feels as though they have been mistreated or that they are the victim of some form of injustice or humiliation. Victims are strangers or acquaintances who have seen to have mistreated the stalker. Resentful stalking can arise out of a severe mental illness when the perpetrator develops paranoid beliefs about the victim and uses stalking as a way of getting back at the victim. That is scary, but that is reality. Those who are in the mental health profession, I know you have seen this, you have addressed this, where that mental illness is that I'm thinking that this person, I will be fixated on an individual and I'm feeling you are the reason why I'm in the shape I'm in, so I'm going to stalk you and get revenge, seek revenge on you because I'm resentful of the things that happened to me. And you have no idea this person is feeling this way about you, that stalker, but this is something that happens on a day-to-day basis, and we have to be mindful of that. The initial motivation for stalking is desire revenge or to even score, and the stalking is maintained by the sense of power and control that the stalker derives from inducing fear in the victim. That's almost like a sexual assault. I've seen many, and I've heard cases where the perpetrators will actually look at a victim after they raped them or before they raped them, and they would say, "She wanted me. I saw it in her. I don't even know you. I didn't even know you existed." But these are the things that you have to be mindful of, because these behaviors, these mental illnesses, these traumatic experiences, they are real and they are out there. And then we have the intimacy-seeking stalker. Intimacy-seeking stalking arises out of a context of loneliness and a lack of close confidant. Victims are usually strangers or acquaintances who become the target of the stalker's desire for a relationship. I don't know if you guys remember the Whitney Houston Bodyguard movie. Basically, they had one guy who was really trying to kill her, but there was another guy who was basically her intimacy-seeking stalker, and he believed that he was just in love with her. And he would not do anything to ever harm her, but it was very harmful mentally what he was doing by stalking her and sending her letters in this movie. And this is what happened. Frequently, intimacy-seeking stalkers' behavior is fueled by severe mental illness involving delusional beliefs about the victim, such as the belief that they are already in a relationship, even though none exist, like the erotomatic delusions. So we have to be mindful. A lot of times it's out of our control of the things that people perceive about us, or what they think of us, or what they believe they can get out of us being with the stalker mentality. And it is what it is when they say a mental illness. It's a defunct. It's a defect. And we have to be aware of that. Anybody at any moment, at any given time, can be a victim of stalking, any of these stalking mentalities. The next one is the incompetent suitor stalker. The incompetent suitor stalks in the context of loneliness or lust and targets strangers or acquaintances. Unlike the intimacy seeker, however, their initial motivation is not to establish a loving relationship, but to get a date or a short-term sexual relationship. I know you've seen some movies and they say, "Are you stalking me?" And some guys are, because they're suiting after you, and they figure if she sees me or if he sees me enough, maybe they'll give in. But you may see that as creepy. Like, dude, don't do that. Let's find another medium or a healthy way to reach out to me if you want to talk to me. But stalking me is not a healthy way to do that. But incompetent suitors usually stalk for brief periods, but when they do persist, their behavior is usually maintained by the fact that they are blind or indifferent to the distress of the victim, because it can be very distressing. So, like I said, it's a lot here that we can go through, but I can't, because we have to for time's sake, I'm always available to present if this needs to be presented. And then there's the predatory stalker. The predatory stalking arises in the context of deviant sexual practice and interests. Perpetrators are usually male and victims are usually female strangers in whom the stalker develops a sexual interest. The stalking behavior is usually initiated as a way of obtaining sexual gratification, such as voyeurism, targeting, or a single victim over time. But can also be used as a way of obtaining information about the victim as a precursor to a sexual assault. In this sense, the stalking is both instrumental and gratifying for those stalkers who enjoy the sense of power and control that comes from targeting the usually unsuspecting victim. That's what I felt too. My stalker was predatory. I believe my stalker was predatory. I was 17 years old. I had just turned 17 3 days prior. The incident is my police report. I had contacted the Dallas Police Department to get a copy of my police report because I wanted to get details of the dates and stuff. I remember, because what I remember was the finals. You know how you have your senior finals, and we get out of school early from the rest of the children during that week. So this particular, usually when I go home every day after school, I live with my aunt on Seavers in Dallas in the Oak Cliff area, and I walked home from school every day, and I always walked home with a group of people, mostly guys, because I had a lot of friend guys, and a lot of them are still here on Facebook. I went to Maceo with, and we would walk home every day from school, and I did that. I felt safe with them. They were really cool and good friends, and I felt that there was safety in numbers with them. Well, during the finals, because I was getting off early and I had to be there responsible for my cousins when they came home. My little cousin, and well, both of them were younger than me. One of them was in high school, but the other was in elementary. So I rode the bus this particular week. Well, on the last day of riding the bus, was it Thursday? Anyway, on Thursday, I think, of riding the bus, I guess my stalker decided to make their move. So what they did, I had no idea. When I tell you I was unaware that someone was watching me get off that corner every day and walk around that street of Illinois and turn on Seavers and go in my aunt's house by myself, I was floored. Mind you, I had already been a victim of sexual violence, of a heinous rape at the age of 13 when I lived in the West Dallas area, and I had to come from that area. But in my mind, because my case had never been solved, for my rapist to tell me, I know your family, I know where you live, if you ever call the police, I'm going to come back and kill you. So you can only imagine what I'm thinking on this day after I realized this person was stalking me. I'm thinking, oh my God. In the end, I thought, oh my God, as it was happening, this guy found me, he did know me, and he actually come back to kill me. And so what happened on this particular day, I came home, like I said, had no idea what was happening, what was going on. I went to the back. I put on a t-shirt, I think some shorts, and I laid down to go to sleep, take a nap, because I'm early. I'm thinking it's like, it's like 12 something. Lay down, take my nap, and I'm telling you, when I'm glad that I feel, and my interjection of my faith in God, that God covered me. He covered me, because out of nowhere, I promise to you, to this day, I heard a voice, and it was like inside, but it was loud. It said, go lock the front door. Now, mind you, my aunt had a big old screened-in porch, and then you would lock her door. She had the padlock, all the good locks. So usually you would leave I would lock the screen door, because if I go to sleep, I felt safe. I never thought of any danger or harm in my aunt's house. My cousins could come in, they would unlock the screen door. We had a little secret way to get to the latch, and the door would be unlocked. They could come on in the house. So I looked around, and I set up like this here, true story, and I said, Bumpy, because we called my other cousin, I think he was a freshman, we called him Bumpy, and I said, Bumpy, is that you? Quit playing. And I didn't hear anything. So I laid back down, and then something said, go lock the door now, like my whole body shook. I jumped up. I didn't ask any questions. I ran to the front door. As I'm running to the front door, I'm not going to even try to open the door. I'm turning the padlock. As I'm turning the padlock, somebody is pushing that front door open. So I threw my little body on the door, and I locked the doors, locked all the locks, and I looked through the window, because, next she had a bay window with a window unit in it. I looked through the window, and there's this man on the porch trying to get in the front door. I don't know this man from the man in the moon. I don't know where he came from, Why he's at this door is not my aunt, it's not my uncle, it's not my cousins. He was not invited. We're not expecting company. Why you at our front door right now? So I go on and I hurry up and I close the curtain and I'm like, who is that? I'm saying to myself, I'm freaking out. I am freaking out. I'm panicking, but what I had to do, I had to breathe. I'm like, I'm not 13 years old anymore. It's daylight. Maybe I can have a little bit more control of the situation. July 31st, 1985 is not about to be repeated. It's not about to happen. If this is this guy that did rape me on that night, he's about to meet another woman today, another person today. So I go get a butcher knife out the kitchen. And I'm saying to myself, as soon as he comes through this window, I don't care if I catch his head, his arm, whatever I catch, he catching it today. Because I wouldn't be nobody, I am nobody else's victim today. So he's sitting there, and my aunt had this window unit. When I tell you she had it bolted in. And I'm saying to myself, he's going to give up. He's going to stop. He knew I was in there because he made eye contact with me. And I'm standing there with my knife. I'm like, come on, dude, come on. I'm going to jug you good. He's And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to overcome him because he's really restless. So maybe I should call the police. So I go to the phone. I don't know you guys. Back in the day, we had phone calls that were like 50 feet long. So away from the kitchen to the dining room, I dialed 911 and I walked back. My aunt had a china cabinet and I was looking at the reflection in the mid-hallway section of the dining room, watching him in this window to see if he's going to ever get this window open. So I'm calling 911. They're asking me 1,000,001 questions, going through, and I'm like, I'm by myself. I'm just 17. I just turned 17 3 days ago. Da-da-da-da-da. I was raped when I was 13. I'm scared half to death. Nobody's here. I don't know what's happening. I mean, I'm just frantic. They're like, calm down. We're getting a dispatch. I don't know who he is. I don't know. No, I don't have a description. I don't want to go back to the window. I don't want him to see me, anything. But he knows I'm in here, and he's not trying to stop at entering this house. Okay. So she's like, just calm down. Is there any way out? Now, mind you, my aunt and uncle had these dogs. I don't do dogs. I know my son had a dog. Now, you little bitty dog, I may deal with you. But they had big dogs, vicious dogs. Dogs that would protect you and dogs that would bite you if they're not familiar with you. Dogs that would get you if you're afraid of them. They knew I was afraid of them. So my aunt's back porch was screened in, big back porch, but the dogs were on the outside. So I go to the back door, and I'm thinking, how can I get past King? I think it was King at the time. How can I get past King? King was at that door, at that screen, come on, what you gonna do today? I closed the door back. I told myself, I can't go out the back door. King is at the back door. I am trapped in this house. And that's what fear will do to you. It will cripple you in these situations. So they were like, okay, we got the police. They're coming. They're on the way. They're on the way. Next thing you know, I hear, and it's like the whole house shook. This dude ripped that air conditioning unit out that window. He was determined to come in there and get me. At this moment, I lost it. I said, oh my God, if he is strong enough to tear this unit out of this window, he's going to overcome little bitty 5 foot, $110 me. This is what about to happen. So I said, okay, King, it's you and I today, bruh, because I'm not going to take a chance with the man. I don't know if he's armed. I don't know where he come from. I don't know his intentions. Than a dog. I've been bit by a dog before when I was a little girl. My grandma's dog. That's one reason I'm scared of dogs. You see my arm discoloration. I got bit by Coco. So I done been bit before. I survived that. I done been raped before. I don't know if I can survive that again. I don't even know if he will allow me to live. So I got to get out the house. I go out the door. I don't know if Superwoman instincts kicked in. I don't know what happened. I jumped King. I jumped the mud. And I jumped my auntie's fence. I didn't realize I was covered in mud because I hit the ground, boom, and I lit out. There was a gas station there. There was some African men in their cabs at the gas station. I'm screaming for help. They were speaking their dialect. I'm not trying to be funny, but I didn't understand what they were saying. There was a young lady there also getting gas. She saw me, and so they were like, there's the police on the other side of the main street. They were going down the wrong end of the street. So I lit out running down the road, and I saw them, and they saw me, and I'm waving, and I didn't realize I still had the knife in my hand. because I'm so frantic at this point. So I'm waving, you know, I'm the one, help, help, help. Someone's in our home. As I'm waving the lights, the police car stopped and they drew their guns on me. That's another story for another day. And they all drew their guns on me, and I'm like freaking out, and they're like ready to gun me down in the middle of the street. And I'm like, and they're like, drop your weapon, and I'm like, what? And I'm still not. I'm so confused. I'm so out of it. I didn't realize that knife. So I threw the knife down and I said, I'm the one that called you. I'm like, look at me. I'm like a child. Are you serious right now? But anyway, all of that happened. All of that transpired. I'm freaking out. And so one of them realized, and one of the cops realized, he said, hey, that's somebody's daughter. So he put his gun in, so he ran up to me and he said, are you okay? And I said, somebody. And as I'm pointing, this dude then went into my aunt's bedroom. Her bedroom was in the front of the house. He's standing and looking out the window like he paid the mortgage on her house. I said, he's in there right now. So they run to the porch. They open the screen door. Obviously, the door was still locked because I had locked it. So they couldn't get in through the door. So they came out. They went to run around the side of the house. And guess what? Boom, King met them. King was like, no, you're not coming. They were like, whoa, that's a big dog. They came back around. And by this time, I guess when he saw the cops go around, he was going to come out the front. He had unlocked the front door. So they went in, they cased the joint. He's not in the house. We know he was there because they saw them themselves. But what happened, he took a side window. He took the window that actually I was sleeping in. He went out that window. And the good thing about it was the neighbors 2 houses over saw him out the window, go through the side, jump the side fence, and go around. Long story short, in the end, the young lady that was there the entire time and saw the police, she also saw the man run out. And so they were trying to figure out. One cop stayed in the house with me. Another, they was doing an investigation. My mom finally came. They got my family. Everybody was coming home. When I tell you, I was a lost cause. I was like nobody's friend. One thing I can say about that officer that stayed with me, he said, I wish you would have had a weapon and just blew his brains out. He said, I know that sounds pretty awful for me to say. He said, but I cannot stand for people to do children this way. He said, if you were my daughter, he said, I don't know what I would do. That was very comforting for me, especially what I've been through at 13 and how those officers talked to me. So that was very comforting to hear from him, although it may have sounded crass. So he sat with me till my mom and got there and made sure I was calm and everything. And so a few minutes later, and so what they did, they ran, and every guy that was running, they didn't care what color he was. They brought him back around to my street to identify. I'm like, no, that's not him. They brought little kids trying to catch their school bus crying. I said, no, that wasn't a baby. Finally, the young lady that was there, they walked off. She drove off with the cop, and she gave the cop a great description of the guy. Well, this guy obviously went somewhere, took his jacket off, and was walking by Dairy Queen. And the lady goes, hey, that's him right there. They went out, they arrested him. They brought him back to the house. In front of the house, they had him. They said, okay, Miss Mangum, are you ready? And I said, yes. They said, you don't have to come outside, but you can at least stand in the porch, because the screen was kind of thick. I stood on the porch. They turned him around in the street, and he just looked like he wanted to just kill everybody. And I said, that's him. Oh my God, that's him. That is him. So they took him, and when they did his MO, they said, they came back and told me, they said, well, Miss Mangum, you would, and my mom was there by this time. They said he just got out of prison, I think about 2 or 3 weeks prior, and he was, guess what, a rapist. He was a sexual predator. And they said that he followed me. He had been following me from that bus stop. And today was the day that he made his move. I don't know if he knew that on Friday we were going to get out. Or I don't know what he knew, how much he knew about me. But that was very traumatizing to me as a young girl at 17, to think that something could have happened to me again in an instant just like that, because I was not aware that he was stalking me, that I was being stalked at 17 years old. This is something that I don't even think we have conversations with our young people about that stalking is real and it can happen at any moment. It could have been something worse, than that. He could have raped me. He could have murdered me. He could have kidnapped me and taken me into sex trafficking. So much could have happened. And it was just right outside. It was in my home, outside my home. He followed me from that bus stop every day during finals week. I was unaware that he was watching me. He broke into our home. And even when I was aware that even when he was aware that I noticed him, he became more aggressive in getting into that home. And obviously, I was targeted as his next victim. There's an impact on victims of being stalking. The effects of the mental health, denial, confusion, self-doubt, questioning if what is happening is unreasonable, wondering if they are overreacting. I can tell you by my stories alone, all of that, my mental, me sharing that, I shared the same thing with you of how it affected me. Frustration, the guilt, embarrassment, self-blame, apprehension, fear, terror of being alone, or that they or others or pets will be harmed, feeling isolated and helpless to stop the harassment, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, agoraphobia, fright to leave the house, never feeling safe. That was me. Difficulty concentrating, attending and remembering things, inability to sleep, nightmares, ruminating, irritability, anger, homicidal thoughts, emotional numbing, symptom of post-traumatic stress disorder, hypervigilance, always on the lookout. That was me. Flashbacks of frightening incidents. Me. Easily startled. Me. Insecurity and inability to trust others. Problems with intimacy. Me. Personality changes due to becoming more suspicious, introverted, or aggressive. Me. Self-medication, alcohol, drugs, or using prescribed medication. Thank you, Lord. I didn't go down that road. Suicide thoughts or suicide attempts. Me. And mine stemmed initially from the sexual assault, leading to and stalking and other things. It affects your physical health. Fatigue from difficulty sleeping, being constantly on guard, symptoms of depression, effects of chronic stress, including headaches, hypertension, gastrointestinal problems, fluctuations in weight due to not eating or comfort eating, development or exacerbation of pre-existing conditions of asthma, gastric ulcers, psoriasis, dizziness, shortness of breath, impact of health or increase of use of alcohol, cigarettes, or drugs, sexual dysfunction, physical injury due to not concentrating or being under the influence of substances, heart palpitations, sweating. All of this are impacts that it has on victims from stalking, because it's like a domino effect of the traumatic experiences that can happen or has happened, knowing that someone is violating or attempting to violate or even harm you just from stalking. And don't be a prior victim of another heinous crime, such as myself, of sexual violence or relationship violence. And it's like this intensifies or magnifies all the trauma that you're facing now and the impact it has on you. It affects your work in school, deteriorating school, work performance. I'm a nervous wreck. I don't want to ride the bus no more going to school. I don't want to not be with all my friends when I'm walking. It was just amazing how this trauma just magnified in my life. Increased sick leave, leaving job or being terminated for that matter, changing careers, dropping out of school, poor education, career opportunities. Another domino effect, it affects your social life, your insecurities and inability to trust others, impacting on current and future relationships and friendships, problems with physical and emotional intimacy, avoidance of usual activities, going to the gym, going out, isolation through trying to protect others, feeling misunderstood, psychological symptoms. Others withdrawing from the victim because they don't believe the victim. They are unable to cope with the victim's mental state or as direct consequences of third-party victimization. I'm telling you, I have heard so many failed marriages, so many failed relationships, friendships. She overreacting. I've had survivors with me. I coach them or mentor them, and they're like, Lavinia, he said it's too much, or Lavinia, he said that was so long ago. Why am I still acting out this way? Why is it still an issue? We have to understand that this also affects our mental health, as well as the person that's doing the perpetrating have their mental illnesses. It affects our mental health, and we have to seek some sort of help for this, or counseling, or guidance, or coaching, or something spiritual, whatever we need to do. But these are issues we have to to deal with because it has a direct impact on us of stalking. And the victim moving to a new area, changing their phone number, name, or even their appearance because of the trauma and the terror that this has on you as a victim. It affects your finances, another domino effect. You lose your wages due to your sick leaves, leaving your job and changing your career. The cost incurred through legal fees. You may have to now take someone to court or fight someone in court. It can cost you money. The expenses of increasing home and personal security. Now you got to secure your home. You got to put your Ring cameras up. You want this all over your home now because you never know what will happen because of the things that have happened now. The costs involved in repairing property damage. He ripped out my aunt's window in her window unit, getting all that stuff repaired, seeking psychological counseling and medical treatment if there was physical harm done to me, going to the hospitals, medications, different things, counseling after that. Costs involving breaking leases or rented properties. My aunt them owned the home, so they didn't decide to move. They just amped up their security. But that's not always the case for victims of being stalking. You can't just, stay there. You have to move. Or you have to break a lease or that property that you're renting. And the expenses of relocating alone. That costs money. I don't know where you can just move anywhere and say, oh, I'm being stalked, I'm traumatized, can I move here for free? It doesn't work that way. There are expenses of relocation after being stalked. So it has a damning domino effect and impact on victims of stalking. That's why it's just as and equally important to raise awareness about stalking, not only just during Stalking Awareness Month, but every day, in every setting and every opportunity we get to raise the awareness about stalking. When should we seek help? When you are a victim of stalking and seeking assistance, ask yourself these questions. Am I in danger? Will it continue? If it has stopped, will it start again? Will I ever get over this? What do I need to stop it? There are recommendations to follow if you are a victim of stalking. 1, have no contact with that stalker. If someone is stalking you, don't feel like you can be the hero. I can handle this. I can overcome. Don't do that. Do not contact the stalker. Tell others. Please tell someone else what's happening to you if someone is stalking you. Increase your personal protection. Collect evidence. I have a lot of notes on this when you're being stalked. Like I said, don't contact the stalker. Have no contact with them. The police should be the only ones to confront the stalker. And I'm trying to minimize it for time's sake. Tell others. Reduce the possibility of others inadvertently providing information to the stalker or access to the victim. Alert them to the significance of every event they witness. Help to provide stronger evidence should take the case to court. Obtain the necessary support to get through the ordeal. What to tell others? Give them clear instructions not to initiate or contact with the stalker and tell them what to do should the stalker make contact with them. Avoid any aggressive or hostile interactions. Do not provide any information. Describe the stalker. Give them a picture if you have one. Provide the make, model, license plate number of the stalker's vehicle if it's known. If they can, get them to photograph the stalker without the stalker knowing and tell them to contact the police. This is what you tell others. Children should not be told to collect the mail or answer the phone. Do you understand me? Please keep our children protected in all of this madness that's happening. Increase your personal protection. Change your daily routines, the route you go to work, the times, the gym, other frequently attended locations. Like when I go walking, I don't go walking the same time every day when I go walking. I change up my pattern. I pay attention to my surroundings. I don't keep my headphones where I can't hear them. I keep them at a tone where I can hear surrounding me. I'm not always in my phone texting, coding. It's not that important. If my walking and my health is important at that time, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay attention to my surroundings, people around me. I've noticed even on my trail, because years ago, I think about 8 years ago, a young lady was sexually assaulted on this trail, or maybe 10 years ago. And so I pay attention to, and this is a safe, pretty safe neighborhood, but it can happen anywhere. But I pay attention to my surroundings. If something doesn't seem right, I've had to confront a man one day, and I'm not trying to be funny, but he was literally dressed like a pimp on a trail or walking with his pointed toe, gold tip wing shoes, his pimp hat on, his little suit and everything. I mean, I'm like, dude, why are you out here? And then there was a lady coming across the street. She's yelling at me, but I realized I had seen them walking earlier, that they were together, and they tried to hem me up. I walk with the bat. I also walk with the weapon on my side. But I was like, hey, this ain't what you want. And I'm just going to keep it real with you guys. That's how I am. And so that I dispersed that little parade or charade they had going real fast. So increase your personal protection. Pay attention to your surroundings. Keep a list of critical telephone numbers, including emergency services and other supports next to your home phone. Have them on speed dial or your mobile cell phone. I know we don't have home phones much anymore, but keep a little book, a little journal or something where you can have that. Have an unlisted telephone number and be discerning to what is and who is given to if you've been a victim of stalking. Have caller ID on your phone. Ensure the phone calls and visitors are screened at work. Avoid walking alone at night or quiet remote areas. Have an escort to your car when leaving work if possible, especially if it's at night. Get a personal duress alarm. Consider whether self-defense training could be useful to you. Let people know where you are and where you're going, how long you will be. Join an auto club for assistance if you need flat tires, if your car has been tampered with. Check your car before getting in. Regularly check the tracking devices. Turn off the GPS on your mobile cell phone services. And I always check my car. I don't just check in my car. I check under my car. And I do that, child, because I went to Florida one time, and they had, when I got in my car, they had signs right here talking about alligators. I was like, you know what? So now I check under my car. So, because you never know what could be there. Inform schools or daycares that your children attend of the situation if you're being stalked. Always carry mobile telephones so you can call for assistance, including when you are at home. Develop a safety plan that includes how to exit your home quickly and arranging a safe place to go. You can also teach your children that. I teach my grandson that when he's in the home with us. If something happens, goes here, go that way. Go out that back door, go out that window. And I'm just precaution. I was a victim in my home, almost a victim twice. But I was a victim in my home, so I have to think on this mindset. And as a last option, you may have to consider moving to a new location. If you choose to do so, ensure that you take measures to ensure that you are not traceable. Improve your home security. Change those locks. Install deadlocks, window, manhole locks. Install sensor lights. Keep torches easy to access places around the home. Flashlights, things of that nature. Install fire alarms, and make sure they're always working. A battery pack. Peephole in your doors. Remove hiding places like trim bushes. Every time I don't do bushes around my home. I don't need them. I love greenery, I love trees, but I don't need them because I don't need someone. My aunt had extensive bushes around her home. Don't leave ladders or other means of climbing around the house. Like your power box, get a post office box or at least have a lock on the letterbox. Get a dog, protect pets, get a home security check. Many police stations offer this service if you've been a victim of stalking. Protect your personal information. Only give out personal details that you trust. Get a P.O. box. At least have a lock on the letterbox. Shred all paperwork before throwing it out because they will stalk you. They will get in your trash cans, your trash bins. Consider having a property owned by a trust or fund. Don't give out personal information online. Close all accounts such as Facebook, Bebo, MySpace, including your children's accounts. If someone is stalking you, don't show your name at the entrance of your residence. Don't give personalized number plates on your car. Remove details from the electoral roll if applicable. Don't use your home address for anything related to business. Be careful what you say on cordless telephones as conversations can be monitored by scanners. Baby monitors can also transmit conversations in the home. Ensure your computer has a strict firewall and is well protected against viruses. I'm telling you, there's a lot into this. I'm trying to give you some quick pointers. Like I said, we can always go into details. I can always come and present to your organization. We can set up a workshop. We can work all the details out. Your school, your university, whatever we need to do. But I want to make sure that we have the gist of it. And I don't want to rob those that are listening to me today because some of you have been victims of stalking and some of you are still questioning, am I a victim? And some of you are saying, I am being stalked. Collect evidence. Compile a journal that is a chronological summary of events from the first day through the present. Keep it brief. Include everything you remember, even if it seems trivial. Record dates, times, witnesses to the encounters. Include telephone calls, items left or sent, or any encounters with the stalker. You may want to start a set pattern to develop. Don't ever lie about or minimize your involvement with the stalker. So if you have been involved with them before, don't minimize it. Don't lie about it. You know, be honest to the police. Be honest in the reporting, because they can use that, stalker can use that against you, and they can make your fight greater, or the war against them greater, when you're trying to bring justice against that stalker. If the stalker is prosecuted and it's discovered that you did not tell the truth, it would damage your case, and they would suspect that everything else you said is untrue. We all, as victims, we've been victims, we already have the issue of victim blaming. We don't need to add to that at all, I promise you. So be honest in all your involvement if you do know that stalker. Organize your paperwork in the filing system, your police reports, hard copies, emails, telephone calls, record them by date. Keep originals in a safe place and a copy of everything in another location. Scan paperwork, pictures, etc. Send an email copy. Don't scribble on original documents. Add notes. Save everything on original documents. Keep a log of expensive receipts, as they may later be important in regards to any claims for compensation against that stalker. Keep a small camera or use a mobile phone to take pictures of any items in the location to damage the property. I recommend the camera because we use our phones for so much. Things can get damaged in our phones. I recommend keeping a camera, a small camera if you can, if you've been a victim of stalking. If items are delivered, contact the delivery service to determine who placed that order, when and how it was paid for, cash or credit card. Try to obtain a description of the person who placed the order. Handle all evidence carefully so as to not smudge fingerprints. Either hold the items by the corner or use tweezers. Keep these items safe and in a plastic bag. Keep your telephone messages, answer machines digital. Keep a second recording of the message somewhere else. Have someone else listen to that message if possible. Try to record the message so it can be stored in another format. Keep text messages on the phone, download to computer, and show others. I'm telling you, in dealing with survivors and victims, this has been so faithful and such great things of evidence when it comes to court and seeking justice, by them keeping the evidence and by them recording their messages and saving them. I've advised so many clients, and it has worked. It has been a wonderful thing for them to do that, because when you're in a stressful situation and your mind is not on it's not fully focused, you know, for what it should be, and not saying that it shouldn't be, but it's not really fully focused because of the trauma, you sometimes forget things, you forget details. So keeping those messages helps you, and it also helps your case against that perpetrator. So have a generic message on all phones, and have a same gender friend record your voicemail message to discourage the stalker from calling you just to hear your voice, because you will be amazed you were talking to me. Reporting to the police. Let me make sure I'm going back, because those were some of my notes. I get excited, and I know I have to wind down from here because I've been over an hour, and I know we have to get other things done. And like I said, I will be able to do things more. But the four golden rules of being stalked, the four golden rules if you're being stalked. 1, have no contact with that stalker. After the stalker has been told by the victim in a calm, clear, and firm manner that the attention is unwanted and they want to stop all contact, the victim, their family, and their friends should have no further contact with the stalker. Don't try to send my Uncle Joe over there to teach him a lesson. Don't send your brother. Don't do none of that. No more contact. You leave it now in the hands of the legal team at the police now to handle this. The stalkers want a reaction, whether it's positive or negative. And so it's crucial to ensure that everyone involved understands the importance of not appealing to the stalker to stop threatening them or retaliating to provocation. So just don't mess with them. Everyone involved understand to leave it alone. Police should only confront the stalker. No other contact is necessary due to the shared. If it's necessary because of the shared custody of your children, arrange for a professional organization or police station to be handover point. I've had to where myself, as an advocate, and the work I do, I've agreed to meet with those individuals, but we go to the police station and we do the exchange with them to make it safer for them. And so I'm like, don't be ashamed. Don't think, oh well, they're gonna think I'm crazy, I'm less than, I'm this because I have. No, baby, it's your safety that you have to consider, because you don't know if a person is stalking you, if they're willing to follow you. You don't know where their mind is at. You don't know what mental illness or what duress they're under or what is really happening for them to be in this state of feel they can be in a position to stalk you. So you have to be careful. So if you need someone to go with you to the police, or need an organization to do the exchange of your children because, oh, I was married to him, or that was my baby daddy, you know, people gonna think I have a bad choice of character. No, 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 no. Some people can put, like I said, that deception hat, and you don't know who they are until they show you who they are. Sometimes it can take years, and sometimes you are so in love, and we're so blinded by the love or the narcissism traits that they can carry that we don't see who they really are. So don't feel bad. If you need that added protection, please do so. Take someone, hand them off because you have custody of your children. Do not put the harm of your children or yourself in harm's way because you feel, oh, they will never harm their children. They will never kill their child. They will never do anything in front of me, in front of little Joe. Baby, I'm telling you, it happens. So be mindful. If there's an accidental contact with the stalker, the victim should try not to show any emotion. Leave the situation as soon as possible. Seek refuge in the closest shop or business and call the police emergency number if the stalker tries to approach. Like we said earlier, tell others, alert them of the events, help to provide stronger evidence should the case go to court, obtain the necessary support to get through the ordeal. What to tell others, give them clear instructions not to initiate contact. Children should not, I did all of that. Collect mail from them, cyber stalked. Safety tips, collect evidence. We went through all of that. Telephone messages. Golden rule for being cyber stalked is to make a mistake of underestimating the seriousness of the situation. Go with your instinct. If you feel uncomfortable, end all communications immediately. If you think you're being stalked online, the following steps are recommended. Give a clear message to the person that it is not rude or insulting or personal, that they must stop contacting you. Do not respond to them in any form after that. Tell other people what is happening so they do not give out any information about you. Change your email address to one that does not readily identify who you are, and only give it to those you trust completely. Save all communications from the harasser and keep a hard copy that is not on your computer. Block and filter all messages. If you're being harassed via email, visit a site. They have sites online where you can determine the point of origin and message and generate a report that is sent to the appropriate system administrator. File a complaint with the harasser's ISP or the administrator of the online community. If you genuinely believe that you might be at risk of physical harm, contact the local police. Keep a non-computerized log of the harassment or on another computer that is not online. This can be used as evidence should the case go to court. Print them out. Print out those emails, print out those harassments, whatever you got to do. Keep documentary evidence of any documents in internet system administrators and police. Again, not only on your computer. I'm telling you, hardcore evidence is some of the best evidence that we can use. And this is for cyber stalking as well. Reporting to police, and we're going to wrap this up because I've been here long enough. Like I said, this is very extensive, but it's a reality of society that we live in, that we can be stalked. Without our knowledge, we can be stalked in our workplace. We can be stalked in our on cyber. We can be stalked in person, stalked by those we know, we don't know. They can have an agenda behind their stalking. Like I told you, the type of stalkers that stalking identified. But reporting to police, report the stalking to police. Go with someone else if it's possible. Present evidence in collated, organized fashion. Know the anti-stalking legislation applicable to your jurisdiction. Include copies of previous court orders or related to stalking situation. Keep a copy of all material presented to police. Record where, when, and to whom the report was made. Ask for a copy of the report or obtain the report number. Do you understand me? Ask for that information. Ask if you can have one or more officers allocated to the case so you don't have to keep repeating the story. That's very frustrating to a victim. So please, you have that right. Speak up. Ask them. Ask to be kept informed of any contact the police have with the stalker so that you can be prepared for the possibility of retaliatory acts. This includes the issuing of warnings, the serving of protection orders, or laying out charges. Consider whether you want to apply for protection order. Ensure that all breaches of protection orders are recorded and reported to the police immediately. If you have relocated, ensure that your new details are not inadvertently provided to the stalker in legal paperwork. If the complaint is not taken seriously, breaches of protection orders are not acted On request to speak to a senior officer, if the outcome is still unsatisfactory, lodge a formal complaint. You have that right. We have to hold everybody accountable in this situation. I work well with police officers now, but still, some still have to be held accountable, because this is your safety, this is your life, this is your mental health that we're dealing with, and you have to take care of you. So if you find that you are in a situation where your protection is not being followed through by your local authorities, you have those right to lodge those formal complaints and follow through. However, remember that unless there is sufficient evidence that a crime has been committed, there is often little the police can do. So that's why I also say document. If you have those cameras, take those pictures. If whatever, don't dismiss anything. Oh, that's just Joe. Don't do that. If they are stalking you, if they're harassing you, if it's bothersome to you, if stressing you out, I gave you symptoms of the impact it can give you as a victim. You find yourself overeating. You're mulling over it more than you need to. It's a problem. It's a problem. And you need to address it, and you need to have it resolved. They have restraining orders, also known as intervention, protection, or apprehended violence orders, that place specific restrictions on the stalker's contact with the victim that can include communications, approaches, or other forms of harassment. Breaches in the order can result in harsh sanctions, including imprisonment. While obtaining a restraining order, there can be an effective way to bring to an end to many cases of stalking. It should not be regarded as an automatic response to harassment. Of the stability of taking such a measurement should be determined on a case-in-case basis. When considering taking out a restraining order, it's important that victims are always aware of the limitations in the period immediately after the order is issued in a time heightened risk, particularly when issued following an escalation in the stalking or after threats have been made. The victim continues to take steps to ensure their personal safety, and always report any breaches if you file a restraining order. The order can be considered an adjunct to other legal actions, or that it might be better to seek criminal charges if theft, threats to kill, or assaults occur. There is criticism behind restraining orders, and I'm just going to be honest with you, and they can provide a false sense of security for the victim and have sometimes been called a paper shield. That's why you should follow through what I just told you when considering taking out the restraining order. And they can incite the stalker to escalate the harassment or act violently. And that's just the reality of some victims. They find you take out a restraining order. So your safety is always important. So document, report, tell others what's happening. They are likely to be effective against ex-inmates who have invested a great deal in the relationship, or ex-intimates, in the relationship, or those whose stalking is driven by delusional beliefs. When you have someone that's delusional, when you have someone that is suffering from a mental illness, when you have some narcissistic behaviors, when you have someone that is just completely out of control, sometimes a piece of paper will not do justice for anyone. So it's important that you take all necessary precautions to protect yourself if you know you are being stalked by someone in that state. Document, take pictures, report things, your GP, all the things we went through today and then some. And I know we did it in a rushed manner, but we have to be wise about our personal safety when it comes to stalking. And then finally, the failure to strictly enforce a restraining order may send a message to the stalker that the order can be disregarded and the victim is not being protected. So we have to, a lot of times, make sure we're being protected ourselves, even though we have the restraining orders. We have to make sure that things are being enforced. We have to follow through with the police. We have to make sure we take care of ourselves. This is part of self-care. This is what self-care is. Nobody is going to care about Lavinia more than what Lavinia is going to do. I'm pretty sure Ricky Lee would try to beat somebody up, but in the end, ultimately, Ricky Lee cannot be with me 24/7. I have to take care of myself. I have to be cautious. I have to be mindful of my surroundings, things that I'm doing. I have to be mindful if I'm out walking on my trail, not to be buried in my cell phone, constantly texting and laughing, not paying attention to things that are happening around me. I have to be mindful of not always doing things the same way. People could be watching me. I have to be mindful of sending my grandson out to to check the mail and just thinking that everything will be okay. You have to be mindful. Human sex trafficking is real. A lot of these victims are trafficked because they are stalked first. Whatever manner of stalking they use, they are stalked first. We have to remember to be safe, to be aware. A lot of things we cannot control, but just having more awareness of some the things that can be happen. Don't be paranoid, because things can happen traumatic to us at any moment, but you have to be aware. You have to be aware of your surroundings at all times. I'm going to wrap it up here. It has been a pleasure sharing with you guys today on Facebook. I don't know how many joined me today, but this is also going to be on a, you can always go back. Anna, she said, any suggestions on a hacked phone? I'm sorry. On a hacked phone, Anna, my suggestions on that, I went back to the presentation. We're going to answer that. DM me, Anna, and I'll shoot that to you on recommendations for a hacked phone, because that can also happen. You may have to ultimately get you entirely a different phone, or take it in to your service provider. I've had to do that, and when I took it into my service provider, they actually said I needed a new phone, and because I had been hacked by someone, they end up giving me a new phone, no charge, because I was suspicious of some things. This individual knew too much and knew everything, and I was like, wait a minute. And I didn't consider it stalking at the time. I just considered it harassing, being harassed, but it was basically the same thing. They were into everything, and they knew everything that I was doing and saying. So I would definitely suggest that you take it into your service provider, or a trusted source, versus taking it to someone else. I'm real funny, even with my husband. I tell him, quit giving your phone to everybody, because all of a sudden he's not technical at all. I'm not technical, but when I say at all, he's not at all technical. And so he'll get his phone, they'll do this, and all of a sudden his phone is acting funny. And I'm like, Ricky Lee, who you gave your phone to? Well, they said they had to hold it to download. No, 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 and no. And now there are ways that they can do things if they're in your vicinity. There's things they can connect your phone. So you can do the checks, do the random checks there. If we can go online, we can look online, and we can find some of the resources, but we have to be trusted resources that we can get involved with to make sure our phones are not hacked and that they are safe. But if you honestly think it's hacked, I would take it into your service provider to see if it's hacked. And a lot of time they can remove it for you. If they can't remove it like they did me, they can change the phone service for you. But we have to be mindful that stalking is real. The reality in the minds of a stalker, that they can be predators upon you at any given time, is real to them. So it has to be real to us that at any moment our lives can be endangered. Our lives are being threatened by people we don't know, people we do know. That we are not exempt from danger, any kind of trauma. The worst thing that we can teach each other or to say to one another is that it'll never happen to me. Do I hate that these things happen to me? I hate that I had to deal with the emotional trauma of it, but I'm thankful that I can use them as tools to give back and help others, so we can get through this collectively. We can empower our communities in society, and we can bring justice and change laws and bring legislation against those who feel that they are entitled to traumatize others. And so this is why we do the work that we do. Like I said, I'm here for your organization, for your universities, for your schools, to present at any time that you need me to. My laviniamasters.com website, hopefully by Friday, which is tomorrow, we will have that one up working. If not, we can go to hopesavesministry.org. That they have that one working again. To contact me, my email is laviniamasters@gmail.com. Reach out to me. I'm here for you. We can go through. We can find out what's best for your organization. And our rates, I work with all means. I do have a certain price, but I am not that person that say, hey, you don't pay enough for me to do this, because it's very important that it gets done. So I'm willing to share with all organizations and in details. And this is not just what I do with stalking, of course, sexual assault awareness, DNA, the importance of DNA, and I don't just share my story. I do take back the night, and as you guys probably figured, I like to give you history, I like to give you resources, I like to give you ideas. There's so much more in detail that I could have given you in this, but for time constraints, I'm going to end this because I have talked for a whole hour and a half, and there are things I have to do, and I must be done. But I appreciate your time. Like I said, the work that I do I put my Cash App and I put my Zelle on there if you want to donate to the sources, the work that I do, the resources that I gather, and the handouts and all that good stuff. I'm going to make this available. I'm going to see how I can make this presentation available online for you. Like I said, I'm really not tech savvy, but we will try to get you some important, or at least some important notes for you online that you can follow and keep and educate yourselves with, and go from there. But once again, this is Lavinia Masters, your speaker, you're a life trauma coach, you're a consultant, and all of that. And I just want to continue to raise awareness in my communities. I want to continue to us have a healthy mindset, and that our mental health is very important. So that's why awareness to me is important. That encompasses all when we do that, when we raise awareness about these subject matters, because otherwise we just walk through life and we don't suspect anything until something traumatic happens to us or a loved one or someone we know. And then it also sheds the light and brings the light that when these things happen to people, we have a better understanding of what they're going through as that third party, and we won't be so quick to cast judgment on them and say, why she act this way, why he act this way. The effects, the trauma that stalking, sexual violence, relationship violence, human sex trafficking, all of these things are very heavy on a victim. And these are things we have to sort out over time, and there is no overnight healing. My process took about 20 years, and it still evolves. I make sure I evolve every day. I want everything about me to be whole and healthy. So the work I do, I give back. I can give back to you whole and healthy and unbiased. So on that note, I'm going to leave you. I thank you for your time. I appreciate the organizations that reached out to me on the email and said you're going to try to share with me today. And if you couldn't share, you're going to go back and replay this. I promise you it has been my pleasure sharing with you today. It's always my pleasure to share in this capacity and to give back and to enlighten, encourage, and empower you about anything that does with sexual violence, relationship violence, stalking, anything that can be harmful or traumatic to us in our health and our mental health. Until we speak again, or until you book me or contact me, have yourself a wonderful day. Lavinia out. Bye-bye.